The 2026 NBA offseason has been nothing short of insane, with Giannis going to the Miami Heat or Jaylen Brown getting traded to the Philadelphia 76ers out of nowhere. And hell, we don't even know where LeBron's going to sign next. But with free agency and all these trades kind of slowing down, I thought today would be a great day to go over a majority of these teams and give them a grade based off what they've been doing. So starting off with the Atlanta Hawks, they bring back CJ McCollum and Jock Landale both to one-year deals, as well as traded for Devin Carter from the Sacramento Kings, and then also acquired Aaron Wiggins from the OKC Thunder, alongside drafting Kingston Fleming at number 8. I think everything they're doing so far is pretty good. I just feel like Atlanta's in this weird limbo where they're not rebuilding, but they're also not like playoff contenders too. Like, I could easily see Atlanta being a play-in team or possibly even missing the playoffs. So far for the offseason, I will probably give it like a B because I really like Kingston Fleming. I think he will come in, learn from CJ McCollum and Nickeil Alexander-Walker, and he will thrive in the league. I really do. And I like Aaron Wiggins as a pickup too. Devin Carter, we don't really know much about. He didn't get a lot of playing time over there in Sacramento. And I think keeping CJ McCollum, that's if you want to get rid of him, or not get rid of him, but want to trade him later down the line during the trade deadline, that will be an easy contract to move. I'm sure a team like Detroit could pick up the phone and really see what CJ McCollum is. But so far, I haven't really minded their offseason. Like I said, it's just like one of those ones where it's, hey, we're bringing in some talent. We got the number 8 overall pick, drafted our guy, Kingston Fleming. We still like Jalen Johnson's progression. We like Nickeil Alexander-Walker's progression. We got to see if Dyson Daniels takes it up another notch. Hopefully he can get shooting down because his defense will always be there. But I like this offseason for the Atlanta Hawks. I'd give it a B, B-. The Boston Celtics. Now, this is a big one. And we're going to talk about it before I give a grade. I'm going to give a little context to it. So they re-signed Ron Harper Jr. to a 3-year deal. Nemes Keita, 4-year deal. Great. Love Nemes Keita. Especially after signing Mitchell Robinson to a 3-year, $47 million deal. Nemes Keita coming off your bench and having Mitchell Robinson start, I love it. They also bring in Mike Conley. And the big one, got Paul George and for Jaylen Brown, including with 2 first-round picks and 2 second-round picks. Okay. As a fan, obviously you hate this trade, but on Monday, Brad Stevens went to the podium and he gave out really good answers of why they did this trade. Do I like the trade still? No, because it's Paul George and 2 first-round picks. But, I mean, they got Paul George, somebody who will come into their system and do what they need. He's a good shooter. He's going to play defense, and he's not Jaylen Brown. But Brad Stevens, like I said, he went to that podium, and he gave really good answers for why they kind of did what they did. He was saying 70% of their cap space can't be taken up by 2 teams. It's hard to build a team like that. So, with context of that Paul George trade, it doesn't look as bad. Obviously, you lose Jaylen Brown, and Nikola Vucevic was a negative. He couldn't play for them in the playoffs. So it's really like they just kind of lost Jaylen Brown. And that one hurts, but I really do like the Mitchell Robinson pickup. I do. The Celtics are a team that likes to get up threes and shoot the heck out of the ball. They do. And Mitchell Robinson is somebody who can come in and help with one of their deficiencies that they were struggling with for the past few years. And that was rebounding the ball, because all they take is threes. And Mitchell Robinson will be able to get them second opportunities on that offensive side. And I think prying him away from the New York Knicks, one of your competitors, was a great signing, especially for the price they paid him at. If I gave the Boston Celtics a grade, I'm going to give the Boston Celtics a B. The Brooklyn Nets are the next team here. So they re-signed Josh Minott and Day'Ron Sharpe. I love Day'Ron Sharpe. He's a hustler, and I think he'll finally get a chance to start now that one of their departures actually was Nicholas Claxton, who they traded to the Bulls and a part of a 3-team deal, where they also acquired Julius Randle. They also signed Mo Wagner as well as Keon Ellis. And you know what? Because they also did draft Michael Brown Jr. I actually really like what the Brooklyn Nets are doing over there. You don't want to be the worst team in the league anymore. That's just not a recipe for a top 3 pick. You'll have lower chances if you're one of the bottom 3 teams in the league. And I think the Brooklyn Nets kind of have a fun team over there. You know, watching Julius Randle and Michael Porter Jr. either one of them could go off for a 50-point game randomly during the season. You know what I'm saying? And I like the signing of Keon Ellis as well as Mo Wagner, who are both kind of good pickups. And Julius Randle is not going to, he's a floor raiser in the offseason. He will get you the wins. And I think Brooklyn, you know, they did what they had to do. It kind of sucks that Nicholas Claxton won't be here for this version of the team because I really like what they got going over there. They got all the rookies from last year, and they picked up Michael Brown Jr., who will come in and be able to hoop immediately for them. The only thing is the Julius Randle, you know, he might take a few shots away from them, but hey, it is what it is. If I had to give the Brooklyn Nets a grade, I would definitely say this is probably an A for me because you don't want to bottom out and be the worst team. The Charlotte Hornets. Okay, so this was a weird one because at first it started with the LaMelo Ball trade, and that trade's still kind of weird to this day for them. But outside of that LaMelo Ball trade, I've been loving what the Charlotte Hornets are doing. They re-signed Kobe White to a 3-year deal. They brought in Grayson Allen and Royce O'Neal from the Phoenix Suns, who they traded away Miles Bridges. Love that trade, by the way. They also brought in Naz Reid and Dorian Finney-Smith. Everything outside of the LaMelo Ball trade that they've been doing is amazing. Like, if you really ask me, the Miles Bridges trade especially, like, I love that trade for the Charlotte Hornets. Really do. You got Grayson Allen and Royce O'Neal, 2 people who will really fit with what the Charlotte Hornets are doing. I wish they had LaMelo for this team, though, because he was the passer and he really was the engine of this team. He got a whole bunch of people going. Other than the LaMelo Ball trade, though, they've been amazing, though. Like, they got off of Miles Bridges. I don't really know what team would really want him considering his past, but the Suns obviously did. Michigan State guy, that's probably why. But they're putting a lot of trust in Con Knipple and Brandon Miller to really succeed without LaMelo Ball, which is kind of scary. But I really loved what they've been doing. They got all those picks as well with the Miles Bridges trade, a 2033 unprotected first-round pick. Like, for Miles Bridges, you do that a million times over. I didn't even think Miles Bridges was worth a first-round pick. And they got a first-round pick. But they got all this shooting over there in Charlotte. I think it's going to be a fun team, even without LaMelo there. But the LaMelo Ball trade does bring it down. Like, if they didn't trade LaMelo, I think what they've been doing in the offseason would have been an A+. But I'd probably go with a B+ with what they're doing. Just that LaMelo Ball still kind of lukewarm on it. It's not the best trade. It's not the worst trade. You're gambling because you're really putting a lot of pressure on Con Knipple and Brandon Miller. But I think they're going to have a fun team over there. And I kind of like what Charlotte Hornets are doing. They're being a serious organization. And this is the first time in my life they're trying to be a serious organization. So that's cool. So I'd give them a B+. The Chicago Bulls, baby. Hey, off rip, A+. Y'all drafted Caleb Wilson, and you got in Nicholas Claxton for free. And hey, Norman Powell signed to a pretty decent deal. And if you need to trade him, he'll be easily tradable. Chicago, I don't got a lot to say about y'all, but y'all are cool, especially with y'all's new GM. A+, because he's also following what he wants to build in Chicago. A+ for the Caleb Wilson damn near alone. The Cleveland Cavaliers. This is a weird one because they're kind of in a situation where it seems like they're waiting for LeBron James. They did the other day sign Donovan Mitchell to a 4-year crazy deal. He'll be making $60 million this year, $65 next year, $70 the year after that, and then $75 million. Jesus Christ, for Donovan Mitchell. And he'll be like 33 when he's 33, 34 when he's making $75 million. Kind of risky, but they haven't done a lot because they're kind of waiting on LeBron James, see what LeBron James is doing because he's been linked to the Cavs. Same with they haven't re-signed James Harden yet because I think, again, they're waiting for LeBron James. But they did lose Dean Wade, Keon Ellis, and Larry Nance, and I think the most important player of those 3 was Dean Wade. Keon Ellis didn't really play for them in the playoffs, but losing D Wade does kind of hurt. And so far for their offseason, just because nothing has happened, I'd probably give the Cleveland Cavaliers a D, because that Donovan Mitchell trade could look really rough in a few years. So until we see if they get LeBron or not, this is just the D offseason for them. Hasn't been the best, but you re-sign your guy, so we'll have to see how the next few years go for the Cavs. But again, this is a D. So the Dallas Mavericks trade for Santi Aldama from the Memphis Grizzlies, as well as attain Marcus Sasser from the Pistons. And they also, at number 9, drafted Merez Johnson. And also, you know, they should on here show they also got a new coach in Dusty Mays from Michigan. And, I mean, you know, I think it was a pretty cool offseason for Dallas. It wasn't the worst or the best. I'd give it a B+, because you got your guy, you got your head coach, Dusty May from Michigan, as well as got a guy that played for him all year, Merez Johnson. And I think this team will be fun. Another year of Cooper Flagg, so they ain't really have to do much because you got Cooper Flagg, who will probably end up being generational. So, you know, B+. The Denver Nuggets, also in a weird one. They haven't done much, and I don't really know, because I remember at the beginning of when they got eliminated from the playoffs, and kind of during some of the playoffs, and then definitely at the beginning of the offseason, there was a lot of talks about possibly moving Jamal Murray, or moving Cam Johnson, or moving Aaron Gordon. Nothing has really happened. They did bring in Marvin Bagley. I think that's cool, but they also lost one of their guys, Tim Hardaway Jr., which was kind of like, man, I kind of wish y'all kept them, but they haven't really done much, and they kind of got to shake up this roster, considering the fact they keep struggling in the playoffs. They can't defend. I don't know, man. Just not a good offseason. They gotta change up that roster for Nikola Jokic. So far for their offseason, I'm gonna have to just give it an F. Just nothing has happened in their offseason. We'll have to see. Hopefully they do make some changes, because that team needs it. The Detroit Pistons have had a really weird offseason to many of us. You re-signed Javonte Green. I thought that was cool. He didn't really play much in the playoffs, but hey, cool. Kevin Huerter signed a 3-year deal. Thought that was really weird to sign Kevin Huerter back to a 3-year deal, considering the fact he kind of can't play and he wasn't the shooter everybody thought he was going to be for them. They did bring in John Collins from the Clippers via they did trade for him and signed them. I think that's cool, but I don't know if he's better than Tobias Harris. He'll be able to defend better. He'll shoot. I don't know. I just don't think John Collins will be as good of a replacement for Tobias Harris, considering the fact that Tobias Harris was super important for the Detroit Pistons, especially on their playoff run. They did sign some shooters, though, in Isaiah Joe, and you know, Taurean Prince can also shoot the rock, but I don't remember seeing much of him or Gary Harris with the Bucks. But now they're on the Pistons. I do like Isaiah Joe, but you can't just sign Isaiah Joe, because I think he'll play the most out of those three. You can't sign Isaiah Joe and just be like, we solved our shooting. They lost Tobias Harris. That one really hurts. Karis LeVert, I didn't really like his minutes, especially in the playoffs. So it is what it is. Marcus Sasser had one good game in the playoffs, I remember, and I think that was against the Cavs one game. And then Isaiah Stewart also didn't play in the playoffs. But I do not like Detroit's offseason, because I feel like they're definitely going to regress from last season. A lot of their starters that were in that starting lineup are kind of gone, and we still don't know what's going to happen with Jalen Duren. Now, I do think Jalen Duren's going to re-sign with the Detroit Pistons. They're in a weird place now, because now it's going to be maybe Jalen Duren feels disrespected by them, and we'll just have to see. But so far for their offseason, this is like a D, almost D- for me, because just nothing's happened. Y'all just came off a 60-win team. I feel like they're failing Cade right now. We just got to see what happens, though. But so far, just a D-. The Golden State Warriors, they re-signed Al Horford for 2 years. Man, he will be 41. He is also just one of those longevity players. They re-signed D'Anthony Melton and also Kristaps Porzingis. Cool. They lost Quentin Post to the Memphis Grizzlies. They're one of the teams that are in the LeBron James sweepstakes. So they signed LeBron. This grade will definitely bump up. And I think they really do have a chance, considering the fact Draymond declined his player option, to possibly restructure that contract so LeBron James can come into town. But so far, their offseason, if they get LeBron, again, this will be a good offseason. I'm glad they brought Kristaps Porzingis back, though, because they need some size. Oh, and Yaxel Lindenberg. Actually, Yaxel's about to bring this up. They're great up, because I really do like Yaxel out of Michigan. I think he will come in and give the Warriors something that they haven't had in a while. So for the Warriors, I'd have to just give it a C. Yaxel's really doing a lot of the heavy lifting right there. But if they sign LeBron James, that C can go up to a B plus almost, maybe an A, just because of the fun factor of Steph Curry and LeBron James. But right now, it's just at a C. The Houston Rockets, I've kind of liked their offseason so far. They re-signed Tari Eason to, I think, a really good deal. 5 years, $81 million. That's kind of a steal for what Tari Eason does. I think that's a good deal for Tari Eason. Actually, not a good deal. I think that's a steal for Tari Eason, considering the fact he can shoot and defend. Ooh, excuse me. Bojan Bogdanovic, he also comes in because the Rockets struggled with shooting without Kevin Durant on the floor. Kevin Durant was like the only one in that starting lineup that could shoot. And then you also get Marcus Smart. I think Marcus Smart was a great pickup for them. He comes in, gives them defense. He can give you good minutes. He can sometimes shoot the hell out of the rock. Sometimes it's iffy. But I like Marcus Smart. He's going to come in, play back with his former head coach from Boston, Ime Udoka. And I think that's a good pickup. And you also get off the Dorian Finney-Smith contract, who was maybe one of the worst contracts in the league last year. You know, he just didn't look good. Everybody thought he was going to look good with the Houston Rockets, and it just didn't turn out. But so far, I've kind of liked what they're doing. This is like a B- to me. We'll just have to see how it translates, because I think the Rockets last year were just kind of disappointing as a whole. But I like the Bojan Bogdanovic and also Marcus Smart pickups, as well as Tari Eason's new contract. B- for me. The Indiana Pacers, they sign Larry Nance Jr. and also Kelly Oubre Jr., who I think was a great pickup. Kelly Oubre is going to do exactly what the Indiana Pacers want to do, which is run down the floor and also play hard defense. And I think Kelly Oubre can do that. He's going to also be able to space the floor. He did have a really good shooting year last year, but it kind of dipped off in the playoffs. But I think Kelly Oubre comes to this team and does exactly what they need. And kind of also, you can kind of throw Tyrese Halliburton coming back from an injury in here. And I think the Pacers can pick up right where they left off from the finals from 2 years ago almost. I think what they did in the offseason is pretty good, and I'd give them a C+. We just got to see what Kelly Oubre we're going to get this year. If he can shoot the hell out of the rock, if he can play great defense like he has been the past few years, this is a great pickup for them. But other than that, C+. We'll just have to see how it translates on court. The LA Clippers. Now, they did lose Kawhi Leonard, or they traded Kawhi Leonard to the Toronto Raptors, and they brought in Grady Dick and Brandon Ingram and a few first-round picks. I don't really remember what they are. And they also signed Rui Hachimura. I think great reset for them, by the way. Great reset. Y'all got off the Kawhi era and the Kawhi and PG era in LA, and you just turned it around. And, you know, Brandon Ingram, he can come in and kind of be like a transition guy in between what y'all got going on and then the youth, basically. And you also get Keenan Wagler from Illinois. Great pickup at number 5, by the way. I think this is going to be my first A+. I really like what LA's doing over there. I really do like what the Clippers are doing over there. Like I said, you lose Kawhi Leonard, but you have a good building blocks and you have a future. You have a really solid future, and hopefully Keenan Wagler turns out to be a superstar. You still got Darius Garland. Like, I'm excited. And then also you re-signed Jordan Miller and Kobe Sanders, who I actually really personally enjoyed watching when Jordan Miller was on the floor. He gave it his all out there. He is a real hooper. And first A+ of the video. LA Clippers keep doing great things. I really do like what y'all are doing over there. The Lakers, they re-signed Austin Reeves to a 4-year deal. I think you had to do that because that's what Luka wanted. They also, this is the team that did their free agency in like an hour. They got Quentin Grimes for a 4-year deal, traded for Jaden Hardy in a DeAndre Ayton, Jaden Hardy trade. They signed Walker Kessler. They signed Kevin Looney, Mamu, and Colin Sexton. And then they ended up losing Rui. Like I said, they traded DeAndre Ayton, Jackson Hayes, Luke Kennard, and Marcus Smart all gone, which is kind of crazy. That was their like whole starting lineup, including LeBron James in the playoffs that eventually beat the Houston Rockets in that round 1 series. But, you know, they're doing this for Luka. So you got to kind of look at it from this point of view. It's Luka. You don't want to lose him ever. You want to keep him in LA and happy for as long as he wants. So viewing it from that point of view, you got to give this trade maybe like a B, because I don't really like it. They have no wing defenders over there in LA now. You did get Cameron Carr out of the draft too. I forgot to mention. I think that was a really good pickup at pick 22. So that was really cool. And, you know, they have no wing defenders over there. I do like Kevin Looney signing, though, by the way. I think that will be a great backup center for Walker Kessler. I think they have a really good center rotation over there, actually, now. And then Quentin Grimes, if he can be the shooter he was with Philly and defend, I think it will be a good pickup. Colin Sexton's whatever. I do like the Mamu pickup, too, because he gave the Raptors a lot of good games in the playoffs. He can just space the floor. He's not really a defender, but I like his play, and I think LA's doing pretty good over there. So this is like a B, because you want to keep Luka happy. The Memphis Grizzlies, first they drafted Cam Boozer at number 3. I think that just raises the ceiling, because I think he's going to be really good. They did trade Ja Morant to the Portland Trailblazers for Jeremy Grant and Chris Murray, I guess. I mean, if his trade value was that low and you really wanted to get off of him, cool, I guess. They also got D'Angelo Russell, Isaiah Stewart. Cool. I feel like Isaiah Stewart actually really fits in with Memphis, because they're, you know, the grit and grind Grizzlies. I think it would have been really cool with Ja Morant a few years ago, but they did also trade Santi Aldama, and they did sign Quentin Post. I think that's a pretty good backup center for what they are going to need. Well, I think he's a really good backup center to back up Zach Edey, but Cam Boozer is like doing a lot of this carrying for them, because they also traded for like $1 billion second-round picks too. Cam Boozer, you are really carrying this. I think their offseason has been a C, because you did get off Ja Morant. That's what you've been wanting to do, so you take it, I guess. So Memphis Grizzlies, you get a C. Cam Boozer is doing a lot of that heavy lifting. If Cam Boozer was not drafted here, this would be an F. The Miami Heat. Now, we all know Giannis Antetokounmpo got traded here 2 weeks ago in return for Tyler Hero. I can never pronounce his name. Jakachonis, though. I'll pronounce his last name. Jaime Jaquez, Kel'el Ware, and then one first round pick who turned out to be Nate Ament. You also signed Tim Hardaway Jr. and also got Bobby Portis in the Giannis trade too. And you re-signed Aaron Wiggins and Simone Fontecchio. You finally got your one in Miami. You finally got your one after missing out on Dame and Kevin Durant and those years of like Bradley Beal. You finally got your guy, and this is a top 3 player in the league when he's healthy. So I really like this. I really like what they got going on. We just got to see around the edges, because this team is really like Davion Mitchell, probably Tim Hardaway Jr., Andrew Wiggins, Giannis, and Bam starting right now. So we got to see around the edges of who they're also going to get. But this is a great start, Miami. You got your one. You could be a team, depending on how y'all rebuild this. Well, not rebuild this team, but build around this team. Because right now with Giannis and Bam, there's kind of not a lot of spacing outside of Tim Hardaway Jr. But we'll just see how it goes. I really like this team. I think with Miami getting Giannis, this is an A- trade. Y'all, you did it. A- offseason. Actually, no, I'm going to bump it down to a B+. I'm going to do a B+, because like I said, we got to see around the edges, because we don't know what they're going to do with the rest of their offseason, because they still need to build a team. And I don't think this team could probably win a championship right now. They still got to make some moves. So I'll say B+. Depending on what they do, it could get bumped up, though. The Milwaukee Bucks. I actually really like what the Milwaukee Bucks have been doing. They re-signed Ousmane Dieng to a 3-year deal. I'm not even going to try to pronounce Markovic. Don't really know. But you did draft Braden Burries at number 10 and also got Nate Ament at number 13. You know, I really like those 2 draft picks, because this is how you got to rebuild if you're Milwaukee. You're not a free agent destination. You also bring back in hometown hero Tyler Hero. Okay, pun, I guess. You also got Yakachonis from the Heat, as well as Hami Hackett and Kel'el Ware. This is how you rebuild if you're the Milwaukee Bucks. Like I said, you can't sign a free agent. You're not always on the top of free agency list for people. So to do this, even though you lost your best player in franchise history, Giannis, you traded him away. Dude, this is still a great trade package in return. And it seemed like the best, even though it kind of seemed underwhelming at first. I really do like this trade. You got a whole bunch of young stars. We're going to see what Jakachonis turns out to be. Braden Burry seems really legit, and we'll have to see about Nate Ament. But Kel'el Ware, Hami Hackett, Yakachonis, Tyler Hero, Braden Burry, Nate Ament, with a few future first-round picks in the future via that trade. I think this is an A-plus trade, because this is what you got to do if you're Milwaukee. A-plus trade. I'm kind of excited to watch them play a little bit, because they're going to be a bad team, don't get me wrong, but I think they're still exciting, and there's something about that team that could be cool. A+ for the Milwaukee Bucks. The Minnesota Timberwolves. So they were able to re-sign Ayo Dosunmu for a 4-year deal. They also re-signed Bones Highland to a vet minimum, I think it came out. They traded for LaMelo Ball. This was their big move. They got Trey Lyles and Mohamed Gay also was part of a 3-team deal with the Bulls and them when they traded away Julius Randle to the Nets, as well as got Josh Green with LaMelo Ball. I mean, so this team went from having a whole bunch of bigs and like no guards to a whole bunch of guards, no like wings, really. So I think their starting lineup was LaMelo Ball, Anthony Edwards, Ayo Dosunmu probably, Jaden McDaniels, and Rudy Gobert. I just don't really see how this is going to work on the floor. I think it will be a really fun team, and you want to keep Anthony Edwards happy, because there were reports that he was getting frustrated with what the Minnesota Timberwolves were doing. And one thing about their GM over there in Minnesota is he's always going to shoot. Like, this guy rides for Anthony Edwards. Hey, at the end of the day, he can always say he tried it. And they brought in LaMelo Ball. And I think this team will be really, 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 really fun. They lost Kyle Anderson, Mike Conley, Naz Reid, and Julius Randle. And Julius Randle was somebody who was a floor raiser in the regular season. And LaMelo's coming over here to a tough West, who will have to see an OKC team, a San Antonio Spurs team. So we'll have to see how it works. But to be able to finally put Anthony Edwards at the 2 and not run him like a point guard, I think will be really fun. And for this, I'd probably give him like a B, because we got to pray for the health of for LaMelo Ball and kind of Anthony Edwards at this point. We'll have to see how it is on the floor, and hopefully they can get some wings in. But this is like a B for me. The LaMelo Ball, Anthony Edwards duo will be really fun. New Orleans Pelicans, F. Y'all ain't doing nothing. Y'all re-signed 38-year-old DeAndre Jordan, who doesn't play, and y'all don't want to trade anybody. Yeah, New Orleans, y'all are like an F minus, almost the lowest grade you can go, F. The New York Knicks, they re-signed Jose Alvarado, Mohamed Diawara, Landry Shamet, and also get in Andre Drummond, but they lose Ariel Hukporty as well as Mitchell Robinson. So I think who they re-signed was really important, especially Landry Shamet. He gave them great minutes in the playoffs. Same with Jose Alvarado, great minutes in the playoffs. Only thing that really hurts them is that Mitchell Robinson loss, because now he plays with a division rival in the Boston Celtics. But I think, they brought in Andre Drummond. I don't think he's the offensive rebounder that Mitchell Robinson is, but he's cool, I guess, to back up Karl Anthony Towns. I think the Mitchell Robinson really hurts, but they brought back most of their championship guys outside of Mitchell Robinson. I'll just give it like a C+. Mitchell Robinson, I feel like, really hurts, and hopefully Andre Drummond can kind of fill that void, but C+, because you brought back most of your championship guys. C, Thunder. They re-signed Isaiah Hartenstein, as well as they did re-sign Lou Dort. I don't know why it's putting this not on here, and Kendrick Williams. Somehow they made the Isaiah Hartenstein Lou Dort thing come back, which is kind of mind-blowing to me. And they also drafted the center out of Michigan, number 12, Andia Mera. I'm sorry, I know I'm butchering the name, but I don't know how he was there for the Thunder, but that is crazy. Yo, I love what Thunder are doing. You lost Isaiah Joe and Aaron Wiggins, but they didn't play for you in the playoffs, really, especially Aaron Wiggins. And, yo, A+, because you brought back your team, and I think y'all can win a championship. A+ for the Thunder. The Orlando Magic, all they did this offseason so far is re-sign Javon Carter, and also they waived Jonathan Isaac just to sign him back. Cool, I guess. They also got Orlando Magic legend Nikola Vucevic back, but they lost Mo Wagner. One of the Wagner twins are gone, or brothers are gone. Y'all ain't really doing nothing. You know, I felt like y'all kind of needed to change something up, but y'all did get a new coach, so hopefully that will help stuff. Y'all ain't doing nothing, and y'all were disappointed. I'm gonna have to go D for the Orlando Magic. Philadelphia 76ers. Y'all signed, A+ before I even start nothing, because y'all got Anthony Simons, Jaylen Brown, Ariel Huck-40, and Dean Wade. Bro, I love this offseason for the Philadelphia 76ers. I haven't even seen a single minute of them play yet. I don't know how it's going to work out, but I really do trust this team. And you got a backup guard in Anthony Simons. And also that starting lineup of Tyrese Maxey, VJ Edgecombe, Jaylen Brown, Dean Wade, and Joel Embiid, I think can be one of the best starting fives in all basketball next season. And I do like their bench. They are kind of a little deep over there. And they also got Landry LaFilon. They got LaFilon. Pardon me for mispronouncing his first name, but they got Philon, who is also another guard over there. And I really like what they did. Philadelphia, y'all get an A+, and I'm very excited to watch y'all play. The Phoenix Suns. So they started off their offseason really good. I thought re-signing Colin Gillespie to that steal of a deal, as well as re-signing Mark Williams and Jordan Goodwin. I think they had a really strong start to the offseason. And then the Miles Bridges trade happened, which I kind of hate. Like, I don't understand it at all, besides the fact that he's a Michigan guy, and their owner, Matt Ishbia, or GM Matt Ishbia, is a Michigan State guy, and he really loves Michigan State people. So that's like the only reason why a lot of people speculate he traded for Miles Bridges of all people. But, dude, they started off strong. I just don't think Miles Bridges moves the needle. They did manage to sign Luke Kennard from the Los Angeles Lakers. He's kind of a replacement for Grayson Allen, but I think Grayson Allen's better than Luke Kennard. He can defend and also dribble the ball and actually make plays. And I think losing Royce O'Neal really hurts. I just don't like their offseason so far. The Miles Bridges one really brings it down. If they didn't do the Miles Bridges one, I think this would be a really good team and fun team. But the Miles Bridges one really brings it down. I'm going to have to give it like a D+. Because, I mean, I guess it will work. Like, there'll be a good team. Just, like, does Miles Bridges move anything of a needle? Like, do they... are they any better than they were last year? They might be worse. I don't know. D+ for them. That was a really ugly trade. The Portland Trailblazers. They re-signed Robert Williams to a 3-year deal. They also get in Braden Carson from the OKC Thunder, as well as signed John Morant. And in return for the John Morant trade, they lose Jeremy Grant and Chris Murray. John Morant didn't cost anything. I get you do this trade if it's going to be that low. I'd imagine they doing this trade because they're thinking about their future, because with Dame being on the older side of 30, you know, you're going to want a replacement guard, and John Morant's 26, still with a lot of upside. I think he'll have a bounce back season, but, you know, if he costs that less, why not? They have a billion guards over there, but I think there will be a fun team at bare minimum. And you take this flyer on John Morant. You do take this flyer on John Morant if he costs you Jeremy Grant. Yeah, you know, Blazers, you get a B. Like I said, you take the chance on John Morant. Why not if he costs that little? The Sacramento Kings. We'll start off by saying they waived DeMar DeRozan. And really, both of these, Daquan Plowden and Precious Achua, I guess. But really, their offseason is drafting Darius Acuff, and I think that's their brightest spot they've had in years. Hopefully, that goes well over there. But Darius Acuff alone, it's going to give them a B-, because what do you have to lose if you're a Sacramento Kings? Like, I don't know, B-. Before I talk myself any lower, Darius Acuff is doing a lot for y'all. The San Antonio Spurs. I really like their offseason too. They didn't do a lot, but they did, I think just enough. You re-sign Harrison Barnes and Julian Champagnie to a really, really good deal, as well as bring in Tobias Harris on a good deal. And for Tobias Harris to come off your bench, I think that's good because they needed more bigger wings for that forward position. And I think Tobias Harris can come in and really help them. And I really like that deal for Julian Champagnie. I'm going to have to give them an A, right up there with OKC, because they just brought back their whole team, as well as added a really good player in Tobias Harris, who had an amazing postseason run last year. A for the San Antonio Spurs. The Toronto Raptors. A+ for the Toronto Raptors. You brought in Kawhi. You also got Kyle Anderson. I'm sorry, I forgot their rookie that they drafted. That is on me. I will make sure to come more prepared in the future. I am sorry about that, but I heard good things about his rookie. I also didn't watch whoever they drafted, so that's on me. I'll be better next year for watching rookies or watching college players who will become rookies, but I've heard great things about him. But the Kawhi Leonard trade for Grady Dick and Brandon Ingram, I think was amazing. You brought back Kawhi Leonard, damn near the king of Toronto Raptors. You know, they love him over there in Toronto or in Canada as a whole. But you know, you brought in Kawhi, and you really you really tell yourself, we could have made it to the Eastern Conference Finals if we had Kawhi last year. They finally got them closers next to Scotty Barnes, and their defense is going to be crazy next year. I really like the Kawhi Leonard trade for them. For both the Toronto Raptors and Clippers trade is one of the ones where it's just an A+ on both sides. I'm going to also give the Toronto Raptors an A for the Kawhi Leonard deal just alone, and they're going to be a team to be a scary team out there in the East. A+ for the Toronto Raptors. The Utah Jazz, they re-signed Mo Bamba earlier today to a 2-year deal, as well as signed Yusuf Nurkic. And then on top of that, they managed to get Jackson Hayes and Josh Okogie to 2-year deals. But they did lose Walker Kessler, which kind of hurts. But they did. This kid has been hooping. My favorite rookie in this class, if you ask me. De'Aaron Peterson, DP, is that guy. And off him alone, I think Utah's in really good hands. The Walker Kessler deals are going to bring this grade down, but DP looks amazing over there in Summer League right now. It's kind of scary. Hey, I'm overreacting, but man, dude, that kid is going to be amazing, bro. Shout out DP. But the Walker Kessler one kind of hurts because I think with Walker Kessler, they would have been good. And now it's like, I think you start Keontae George, DP, Ace Bailey, Lauri Markkanen, and Jaren Jackson. And I think they're just going to struggle to close out possessions and get rebounds, which is kind of scary. And Yusuf Nurkic, when he does come into the game, he's not the rim protector that Walker Kessler was, or just not kind of a good defender at all. But DP really brings up this grade, and I think the Utah Jazz are going to be really fun to actually watch. I'm going to have to give their offseason so far a B- because they did lose Walker Kessler, and I think that really hurts. But they did. You got DP, man, and that kid looks crazy. B- for the Utah Jazz. They're doing good things over there, though. It's just the Walker Kessler one that really hurts. The Washington Wizards. So they re-signed Trae Young to a crazy big deal, which kind of looks bad. They traded for DeAndre Ayton. They finally got, they did what the Lakers didn't want to do, and they got Anthony Davis, the center. They also brought back Chris Middleton, which I was kind of surprised to see. I really thought he was going to go to Miami. No sources or anything. It just kind of felt like Miami could have used him, and maybe he wanted to go back and play with Giannis. But no, he signed back with the Washington Wizards. And then they lost D'Angelo Russell and Jaden Hardy. They traded them away. Hey, it is what it is. I didn't like D'Angelo Russell on this team. D'Lo's kind of just a travel guy at this point, and he's not that good no more. But you did also have the number 1 pick in AJ DeBonson, so I think Washington is going to be another one of those teams. It's a young, fun team. The Trae Young deal really just brings it down because that trade it might look bad in a few years. It's a massive deal for Trae Young, but you did bring in AJ DeBonson, who I think will be a star. You do got a good team over there, and I think the Washington Wizards will be a fun, good team. I've liked what they've been doing in the offseason. You got a center, brought back Chris Middleton, but you do have 1,000 wings over there. The Timberwolves could use some. Maybe y'all can make a trade with them, but for the most part, I'm gonna just give them a B+, considering the fact that no, not B+. That I've just I don't know how I forgot it so quickly. The Trae Young deal, I'm gonna go C+. I'm gonna go C plus. That Trae Young deal might look really bad, and we don't know what's gonna happen with Anthony Davis yet, depending on what they get, if they even want to trade him, which I know they've been saying they haven't, but you never know. Trae Young deal, that's just really, it's really yuck, and I don't even think Trae Young's a bad player. He only played 5 games with the Wizards, though, so we don't know how it's going to be. But A.J. DeBonson, that kid's probably going to be a superstar. And this C+. C+ for the Washington Wizards, man. And with that being said, that was all 30 NBA teams and what I ranked them. I kind of just like briefly went over some of them. Didn't really get too much into detail, just kind of giving brief summaries. But this was really fun to do. I think I'm going to do more content like this because I actually really enjoy this. I'm thinking about playing some NBA games too, or just basketball games, you know. Maybe try 82-0 challenges or testing my ball knowledge if I'm going to be for real. But I really did enjoy this. And like I said, just a little brief video, well, a brief summary about every team. I know I didn't go into super details, but this was really fun to do. So I'll check y'all out in the next video.